Folks, don't count on the Bank of Canada to save you. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for the city of Toronto for week ending May the 1st, 2024. You know, talking to sellers, there's all sorts of reasons why a seller may or may not come on the market right away. There's many legitimate reasons for a seller to wait. For example, I may talk to a seller and their home has this stunning backyard with a pool and outside entertainment area. And if we're talking in the middle of winter, and it's just obvious that the backyard is a major feature of the home that's going to attract more money for the home. It's just logical that for that house, kind of makes sense that springtime, when the pool could be open, the backyard set up, the backyard could be in bloom. It's just logical that that's probably the time of the year that that home's going to attract the most attention and the most money. There's other situations where selling in the winter, other times of the year, makes sense for that home. Lately, I've been talking to sellers. Some of them are in a financial situation. They're up against a wall where they need to sell, and yet they feel that waiting for the next Bank of Canada rate announcement, which is on June 5th, they feel that that's their savior. They could go on the market now. They're basically ready to go on the market now. But man, that June 5th announcement and the guaranteed that the rates are going to be dropped, it's going to somehow bring a flood of buyers and prices are going to be shooting up, and that's the time they're going to go on the market. Look, nobody knows for sure if Bank of Canada is even going to reduce the rate. There's even some rumors that can go the other way. Who knows what's going to happen? But I just see so many flaws in that thought process that the Bank of Canada's rate announcement on June 5th is going to save me and I'm going to get so much more for my home right after the rate announcement. It's flawed. It's a flawed way of thinking about the process. You've heard lots of anecdotes about how timing the market is a fool's game. Well, there's lots of sellers counting on this. From being in the field, working with sellers and buyers, I can tell you the market is slowing down. I could feel it. There are homes that just a month ago were getting 30 and 40 showings. They're now getting 5, 10, 15 showings. On offer night, there were homes that were getting 10, 15 offers. They're now getting 2, 3, 4 offers on offer night. The market is slowing down. It's less intense right now. Months of inventory is going up. Yet these sellers that need to sell, that have a financial restraint right now, are in financial crisis, are holding off. And again, they're holding off for something that may or may not happen. And even if it does, even if the Bank of Canada does reduce the rates, what does that mean for the buyer? Is this actually going to spur on a flood of buyers and there's a huge, massive shortage of listings and prices are going to go through the roof? I can tell you, if the buyer can't afford your home today, only if, it's a big question mark, if there's a rate drop, it'll probably be a quarter point. And if the buyer can't afford your home today, that quarter point is not going to cause that buyer all of a sudden to afford your home. If they can't afford it today, they're not going to afford it later either. So just be careful about the logic. If your logic is based on desperation or on things that may or may not happen, you might be digging a bigger hole for yourself and putting you and your family in greater financial troubles waiting for something that may or may not happen, may or may not go the way you planned. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, it's really simple. Up here, there's a link. below this video in the description. There's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. If you're looking for a detached property by Caledonian Rogers, check out the video at the end of this video. Here we go. So I'm going to start off with a monthly chart. I've got every month broken down starting April 2024, goes all the way back to November 2019. I've got April 2020 here. So, my regular show, and right after this, you're going to see me break things down where I normally discuss the numbers on a weekly basis. But every now and then, I'll have the monthly charts here. Let me explain what's happening. First of all, I've got every April going back to April 2020 highlighted in black. I've got the sales down here, and I've got average prices up top. And you can see, and this is just for detached properties only, just for the city of Toronto. Sales 764 for April 2024, 761 for April 2023. Not a lot has changed April to April compared to 1 year ago. Compared to the previous year, sales are lower. And as we go back, sales are much lower. Those are sales. Let's look at average sold prices. Average sold price for April 2024 for detached properties only is $1,748,000. And since the beginning of the year, every month, average sold price has increased. Let's compare going back. If we look back just for 1 year, we are currently 1.9% lower. Let's just say 2%. We're 2% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago. We go back 1 year before that, April 2022, which was the peak time. We're currently 10% lower than where the price was at peak. 10%. I know there's lots of calls out there for, hey, prices are plummeting. They're so much lower. They're only, I'm saying only, still a lot of money, but they're only 10% lower. It's around approximately $200,000 lower than where we were at the peak back at 2022. And we can go back further. We're actually higher. We're 3% higher than April 2021. And here, April 20 really was the first full month. It was our first shutdown when we were in April 2020. So I'm not even going to compare to that and look at the percentage because that won't make sense at all. But this is what's happened when we compare back to April 2020 and you look at peak pricing. We're down 10% from peak pricing. That's it. I want to look at something else, though, I want to bring to your attention. If we look at, say, starting April 2021, and we look at May, June, July 2021, prices came down right after April. For 2020, prices came down right after April. We go to 2023, prices came down. Well, they went up 1 month and then they came down. So for 3 years in a row, right after April, prices came down. And so I put a question mark here, May to June. What's going to happen this year? I'm not going to predict prices are coming down again, but it's happened 3 years in a row. What do you think? You tell me in the comments below if prices are coming down over the next few months. Here's our regular programming. I got average sold prices broken down by week. I got condos here. Although we're not talking about condos, I put it here for reference. The difference between the condo average sold price and the detached average sold price, it's over $1 million. It's $1,045,000, the difference in average sold price. So for people that think or say, why don't you just sell your condo and buy a detached? It's not quite that easy. There's a huge price difference between the two, the big price gap. We're going to start off with detached properties for the city of Toronto for week ending May the 1st. 166 detached properties were sold. 50 of those were at $2 million or more. So sales have actually been decreasing over the last few weeks. And just, I'm going to take a side note here. The way the data is broken down really can interpret the information differently. So if I just take a second here to go back, we're saying sales are increasing. And this is my monthly data. So January, February, March, April, every single month sales are increasing. And you could just walk away and think, oh, sales are up. However, when I show you a little bit closer the weekly data, yes, April sales are higher than May sales. However, April are higher than March sales. But if we really now dig down to what's happening, sales are really trending down, where before, if we just look at month after month, it looks like sales are trending up. Currently, however, on a weekly basis, sales are trending down. The amount of properties selling at $2 million or more is kind of averaging out to be around 50. Average sold price, $1,779,000. I would say that's been trending up. We could take the high week that we had there. Sales seem to be, or average sold prices seem to be trending up. I don't know, it's pretty clear when you look at that. Compared to last year, 1,779, 2% lower than where we were this week a year ago. The median price is 1% higher year over year. The dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average. The median 4-week moving average seems kind of flat, actually. The average price is trending upwards. 166 were sold. The orange, that's this year's sales. The blue, that's the same week a year ago. And for a whole number of weeks recently, sales are way lower this year than what we were selling a year ago. 166 were sold. 57% sold at list price or more. That number, maybe it's down a little bit because we did have a few 65 and 68, but there's been quite a few in the 50s. So maybe I'm more comfortable saying in the high 50s is about the norm right now. And we've seen multiple 57, 55, 58% selling at list price or more. So just under 60% selling at list price or more. So sales are lower than what we were selling last year at this time. Listings are higher than what we were selling last year at this time. And you can see here the difference. Active listings really starting to climb. There's now 1,539 detached properties available for sale. But only 166 are actually being sold. 166 out of 1,539. Big difference. Months of inventory, as a result, is starting to climb. We're sitting at 2.1 months of inventory. Now, the fact that average price is still climbing as months of inventory is still climbing, normally that's not the way that relationship works. As months of inventory go up, we tend to see average prices coming down. But it's not an exact science. Sometimes there's a delay. Over time, though, we expect one of these two to give. Either months of inventory is going to come down or average prices are going to come down. One of those two are going to happen soon. That was the whole city of Toronto. Here's Toronto broken down into 9 different sections. Now we're saying that all of Toronto has a months of inventory on average of 2.1 months of inventory. Looking at some of the neighborhoods, some neighborhoods are far more competitive than Toronto as an average. Scarborough, for example, has a 1.4 months of inventory. East York, Riverdale, Beaches area, 1.5 months of inventory. 78% of those properties sold at list price or more. There was only 18 detached properties sold, but almost every property is coming onto the market with an offer date. Weston Yorkdale, 1.9 months of inventory, 70% selling at list price or more, and so forth. And you can see the other areas that are bringing months of inventory up. York Mills, Rosedale, 2.5 months of inventory. Willowdale, Bayview, 6.3 months of inventory. Let's look at semi-detached properties. 55 semi-detached properties were sold. 16 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price shot up over the previous week to $1,362,000. Now, before that, I would be saying average prices are trending down. I'm still going to say that until I see a few more weeks, because this 1,362 from this vantage point right now kind of looks like an outlier. So I would say average prices are trending down, but this week they shot up. Compared to last year, 1,362 is 8% lower than where we were a year ago. The median is 1% lower. The median looks like it's trending up slowly, but average price seems actually kind of flat when you look at a 4-week moving average. When you look at just the average, looks like average prices may be trending down. Months of inventory up a little bit, sitting at 1.3 months of inventory. 84% of the semis that sold at list price or more. Very competitive, the semi-detached market. Townhouses, sales are way down. 11 freehold townhouses were sold. 2 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price is $1,225,000 for freehold townhomes. The median price is 19% higher year over year. The average sold price is 4% higher year over year. And months of inventory for townhouses sitting at 3.1 months of inventory, shot way up because sales were so low at only 11. Here's a quick summary. In most cases, you're going to experience either a balanced market or a seller's market. Not too many situations where you're going to experience a buyer's market. Prices are generally flat or trending upwards in many areas for many product types right now. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. You're about to walk through 278 McRoberts Avenue. This fully detached home is located in a great neighborhood by Caledonia and Rogers. It's 3 bedrooms and has a detached 2-car garage. Have a look.